God, we have viruses.
What?
The computer is full of viruses.
What do you mean full?
It says that we have 1,342 viruses. What should I do? They weren't here yesterday. What have you done to the computer?
Me? I haven't touched it.
Well, they don't just jump on the computer by themselves. You must have done something. Have you been on one of those questionable websites again?
Hey, I told you I haven't touched it. You're the only one who's been on the computer, so blame me? What kind of sites have you been going to?
Hi, I'm Jeff Taylor, and this is Rita Mary. We are 2/3 of the three, a TV show all about computers and technology. Rita and I will be your co-hosts today. The purpose of this show is to raise community awareness and help educate the residents of Sun City Grand to new technologies such as computers, smartphones, tablets, and technology in general.
We will be covering topics ranging from how to protect yourself in this new age of digital technology. We'll help you determine the differences of technology and what might be right for you. We'll define all that techie talk in easy to understand, clear, simple language. And we will also discuss places in the community where you will be able to find the answers you need. In other words, community resources right here in Sun City Grand, Surprise, Arizona.
Today's topic is malware. We will talk about what it is, where it comes from, and what you should do about it. Rita, can you tell our viewers a little bit about malware?
Well, let me begin by saying malware is really a combination of two words: malicious software.
Well, what does it do to your computer?
Well, if I might read the definition, malware is a software used or programmed by attackers to disrupt computer operation, to gather sensitive information, or to gain access to private computer systems. Malware is a general term that refers to a variety of forms of hostile or intrusive software. It can appear in the form of a code, scripts, active content, or other software.
So what are some of the types of malware?
Well, malware includes such things as viruses, ransomware, worms, Trojan horses, rootkits, keyloggers, dialers, spyware, adware, malicious BHOs, security software, and other forms of malicious programs.
Oh, you mean a weed?
A weed? What?
You know, something unwanted.
Yep, unwanted software. Today we're going to talk about the most common form of malware that lies to you and tells you you have a lot of viruses on your computer, even if you really don't. Jeff, tell us how some of this common malware that we've been talking about, how does it present itself on the computer?
Well, it appears to be your antivirus software telling you that your computer has been infected. Usually straight out of the blue, it'll pop up and tell you you have hundreds or thousands of infections. And that is the first sign that something is wrong.
Well, how can you tell the difference between malware and antivirus software?
That's a good question. It's actually very difficult because malware is made to look like your software. However, there is a difference. Typically, your antivirus software will pop up and tell you that it has protected you. Malware, on the other hand, pops up, tells you that you're infected, and wants your credit card information to fix it.
So what do you do when you see something like this on your computer, if it just pops up?
Do not respond to these people. They are trying to get whatever information they can from you. You should shut down your computer and clean it, or contact a trusted computer professional. If you're a resident of Sun City Grand, you can contact the Grand Computers Club, and they can refer you to somebody who is experienced in dealing with these types of threats.
What if you don't live in Sun City Grand?
For our viewers in neighboring communities, they can contact PORA, and PORA will refer them to a trusted computer professional.
Well, Jeff, I got another question for you. What happens if you've already given them your credit card? Or should you give them your credit cards? What will they do?
Well, typically they will process a charge for cleaning your computer. However, then they take your credit card information and resell it to identity thieves. And in the process of cleaning your computer, rather than cleaning it, they download new real viruses into your computer, so you can see how important it is not to respond to a malware pop-up.
Yes, I can. That's horrible that people would do such a thing to unsuspecting users on the internet.
Yes, it almost makes you want to throw away your computer, doesn't it? But today, we have a very special guest, Joshua Canal of Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes is a leading provider of security solutions to both businesses and consumers alike. Josh is a researcher at Malwarebytes, and Josh will be sharing with us today information on malware threats and how we can protect ourselves. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Hi, Jeff. Glad to be here.
Hi, Josh. Before we get started, maybe you can tell us a little bit about Malwarebytes, the company, and about malware in general.
Sure. Well, like you said, I work for Malwarebytes, and I've been with them for almost a year now. And Malwarebytes was founded back in 2004 by a community of people. And these people held the belief that all people who use a computer have a right to a malware-free existence. And as far as what malware is exactly, it's really just a general term we use to describe all those nasty things that get on your computer, like Trojans and worms and keyloggers, things like that. And Malwarebytes is here to protect people from those threats, and we work around the clock to protect all of our users from these sort of things.
So, Josh, how is malware different from a virus? And doesn't my antivirus already protect me from this stuff?
Well, a virus is just a type of malware that will replicate itself or duplicate itself on your computer without your permission or consent. And as far as antivirus programs are concerned, the reason they aren't enough to protect you is because a large percentage of malware knows how to evade detection by these products. And this is kind of where Malwarebytes comes into play. Malwarebytes will act as a second layer defense to protect your computer, and it makes up for where your antivirus program might be lacking. So, in other words, it basically finds what your antivirus program doesn't find.
Well, can you tell us about some of the more prevalent malware that's out there today?
Sure. Well, you have so many different types of malware. Sometimes it can actually get difficult to keep track of them all. You have Trojans, which will disguise themselves as real software in order to avoid detection. You have file infectors, which will actually modify the good programs on your computer to make them do something bad. You have keyloggers, which will monitor your keystrokes as you're typing in your passwords, so they can, steal information about your bank or your email. These are just a few examples. Of course, there's so many.
Wow, Josh, that's pretty scary. What should our viewers do when they encounter something like this on their computer?
Well, that's a good question. If you know or suspect that your computer has been infected with malware, then you should scan your computer for threats right away. If you don't have any malware protection on your computer, you can always download a free copy of our software. It's called Malwarebytes Anti-Malware from our website. And then from there, you can run a full scan on your computer.
Well, can you tell us or give us a little bit more details about the different types of malware? I guess I'm more concerned with the big one today that really affected me in particular, which was ransomware.
Yes, ransomware. It's a particularly nasty type of malware, And what it will actually do is literally lock you out of your computer and then demand payment in return. Usually it's payment to restore access to your computer. And the difficult part about scanning your computer for ransomware is that you're obviously locked out of your computer. So it's difficult just to start the scanning process. And ransomware can be tricky to remove. Sometimes you'll need to go into safe mode to remove the infected files. Other times, the ransomware will actually disable safe mode altogether. So really the best way, in my personal opinion, to fight ransomware is to stop it before it starts. Another piece of advice on ransomware that I would like to give to people who might be infected is to never pay the fine. Even if for some reason you have to go as far as to reinstall your operating system, it's still better than not paying the fine, because you can't really guarantee, that by paying that fine, you're going to get your computer back.
Josh, is Malwarebytes something that we would want to have on our computer and run it periodically, or do we just use it when we get infected?
Well, I would recommend you have it on your computer and to run scans periodically. The reason being that Malwarebytes generally does a better job at detecting certain types of malware than its competitors. And especially if you have the Pro version of the product, it includes a protection module that will actually prevent detected malware from being run on your computer in the first place. So if you have the Pro version on your computer, you might not get infected to begin with.
Okay, well, maybe there is hope then. When I first heard about ransomware, I thought we should all just throw our computers out the window and go back to typewriters and using the U.S. mail service, because I thought that would be a lot safer.
Well, Jeff, I doubt that's ever going to really happen. So let's hear about some other malware threats. Josh, can you be a little more specific on some of the other things besides ransomware? And for example, like, something pops up on your screen and says, you need to update this particular type of software, and click on it now and we'll update it for you. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's something that's been happening a lot in our community.
Sure. Well, fake updates are they're pretty common, and they're just like they sound. It's an update that's not real, and they're somewhat like a Trojan in that they appear to be something legitimate and something real, but of course they're not. And these programs, if you download and install them, they don't always install malware. Sometimes they'll just be adware, spyware, but on the other hand, some of them will actually deliver malware, either by visiting the infected website or after downloading the so-called update. And that's why it's important to just stay away from these altogether. And probably the easiest way to verify if an update is real or not is to simply check the URL or the little address bar that you see at the top of your browser window. And so if you're looking for an update to Internet Explorer, for example, a very common web browser, if the URL doesn't have Microsoft in it anywhere, then it's a pretty good chance it's not real. And sometimes it can be difficult to tell just by looking at the screenshots, because they're designed to look like they're real. But again, the best way to check is just look at that address bar and make sure that you're actually at the real Microsoft website or the real Adobe website, whatever the update is for.
So one other follow-up question. You mentioned spyware and adware. Does Malwarebytes also detect that?
Yes. it does detect spyware and adware. Now, it can get kind of hazy as to where that might fall under. It might fall under what's known as a potentially unwanted program, or a PUP. And Malwarebytes will detect these kind of programs too. They're not really classified specifically as malware, because it may not, steal information from you or try to destroy your hard drive. But they might target you with advertisements you don't want, or do things like that. So yeah, Malwarebytes will detect those kind of programs.
Okay, Josh, so it sounds like there's a lot of different types of threats out there. How do we best protect ourselves, short of throwing out our computers?
Yeah, well, in today's day and age, you need some sort of malware protection if you're going to use the computer. In my opinion, the best setup to have is a reputable antivirus program bundled with a second layer defense like Malwarebytes. And these programs will work together to give you the protection needed. And generally, Malwarebytes in particular is pretty compatible with most of the big antivirus programs out there. And to add to that, you're also going to want something that has some sort of real-time protection. Like I talked about a little earlier, how Malwarebytes had a protection module. And the reason you want that is to ensure that the infections will be stopped before they're ever even started.
Well, thank you, Josh, for taking the time to help our viewers keep themselves safe on the internet. And we'd like to say thank you to Malwarebytes also for all of your efforts in keeping us safe and thwarting these nasty threats. This has all been very informative, and I guess we won't have to throw away our computers today. If our viewers would like further information on Malwarebytes, you can find them at www.malwarebytes.org, and we will have links to Malwarebytes and malware in general on our website, www.the3.us. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Hey, guess what? I finally took the plunge and got one of those new smartphones a couple of weeks ago, but I'm not sure what all the fuss is about. So it's got a camera, and I have an address book, and that's about it.
I just bought this new iPad last week too, but I'm not sure how to use all these little pictures on it. It's pretty slick.
Hey, that's great. Let's see what you've downloaded so far. What new apps did you get?
What? You mean you can get other things besides what's on the screen? How?
Today, more and more folks are taking the plunge into smartphones and tablets. In this segment, we are going to explain in very simple language how you can add additional stuff to your portable device. We will even introduce you to some apps that might even be addicting. So if you have an addictive personality, you may want to change the channel. Otherwise, stick around and let's have some fun. Welcome to the fun part of our show, where we will be discussing how to become addicted to your portable devices. Rita, can you put that thing down for a minute? Our viewers would like to know how they can have as much fun as you have with that portable device.
Jeff, I'm not having fun. I just updated to the new iOS 7 on my iPhone.
Well, let's get back to the show now and talk a little bit about apps.
Well, the first thing that people have to do before they even think about uploading apps is to make sure that their Apple device is updated to the new iOS 7.0.2.
Huh? Are you sure that's what they want to do? You just said you weren't having any fun because you're on iOS 7.
It's not a question about fun. You have to do it anyway because existing apps won't work and you won't be able to update new apps if you don't update the operating system.
Well, that's kind of mean, but I guess there's nothing we can do about it. So, what do they do first?
Well, the first thing you need to do is check to see if your operating system is updated. I've got the new 5S and the 4S. And I'm going to show you on both phones how you can see whether or not your operating system is updated. I also have an iPad, and it's pretty much the same, but I'll let you take a quick gander at that. So here we are with the iPhone 4S. When you click on the iPhone 4S, the first thing you need to do is get to your settings. When you click on settings, you would go to General, and under General there is a tab that says Software Update. When it looks at the software update, it tells you, in this case, there is a new update necessary, and that new update is iOS 7.0.2. However, before you decide to download and install the update, I strongly would suggest that you first back up your data. And the way to do that is either through iTunes in your computer or using iCloud. And go all the way to the last part of it where it says Storage and Backup, and then click on iCloud Backup on, Back Up Now. As soon as you back it up, you can then go back to General and to Update Settings. You can see the steps on the screen now. You tap Settings, tap iCloud, tap Backup.
Well, now, can we finally download the new iOS?
Yes, Jeff, but just make sure that your battery is fully charged, and that would be good then to connect it to a battery charger at that point. And it would also go a lot faster if you use Wi-Fi rather than using your LG or other network.
So can we finally get to the apps now? How do we download one?
It doesn't matter if you have an iPhone or an iPad. We have some additional slides that we'll be showing you to follow along. But essentially, whatever system that you have, 4S phone or iPad or 5S, the same thing holds true. The first thing you do is you click on the App Store icon, and it really doesn't matter which screen pops up, because at the bottom of every screen you will see a place on your iPhone, and I better show you this before I confuse everyone. No, okay, and check out this nifty new fingerprint scan. It actually does work. So you click on the App Store. On the 5S or any other iPhone, you would go to the bottom where there is a little magnifying glass that says Search, and you click on that. If you have an iPad, you can also do the same thing. The search is on the top, though. What you would do is you type in whatever the program is that you're searching for, go to the top where it says Search, and on the iPad there would be a little search engine on the bottom, a little spotlight, and type in whatever app you're interested in looking for. In this case, let's say Twitter, Twitter, and then click Search. All of the Twitter apps or affiliated Twitter apps will come on. In this case, you can see here's the app Twitter. If I did not have it, it would say free. I would click on free. Let's use this one for an example. Click install, and then it would ask me my password. And in the case of a new iPhone 5S, it would be my password or my fingerprint. And then I would click OK. It would upload it, and then you would open the app to install it. But before we go any further, I would like to say, as I said before, there are several other buttons at the bottom of the screen or options that you have when you're in the App Store. Now, if you're not sure what the name of the app is that you're interested in getting, I would suggest that you click on the App Store. And at the bottom of the screen, there are several different options that you have. One is featured apps. Now, under featured apps, these are the apps that the Apple Store is featuring because they think they're pretty cool and things that you might want to buy. They have all categories, but you can also look at, if you click on more, you can be specific as to what type of category you would like. For example, if you're interested in photo apps, is an example, okay? It will give you all the best photo apps that are featured here. And it will also give you essential apps, things that, in terms of this particular subject area, the Apple Store thinks are really things you should have on your iPad or iPhone. There's also a category called Top of the Charts. The top of the charts tell you what is really, really trending right now. The basic paid apps, free apps, and the top grossing apps. You can also, again, decide by categories which one of those you want. Like, let's say you're interested in the greatest business apps. Well, it will give them to you right here, the paid, the free, etc. Near Me is something that's kind of interesting. It's relatively new for the iPad and iPhone with iOS 7, and that is popular apps near me. This is what people in this area are really downloading right now. For example, it will ask you to use your current location. If you don't allow it, you'll never find out what's happening right in the area where you are. So in this case, the popular apps near me, let me close this, are these right now. And finally, your purchased apps. These are all the apps that you purchased. If not on this iPad, it would be, or iPhone, it would be all of the apps that you have on all your devices. And if it's not on this particular device, what you can do is you can click it and you can automatically get it on this device without having to pay additional money.
Well, Rita, that was very nice, if you happen to have an iDevice. But now we're going to move on to bigger and better things, Android devices. Today we'll be installing Angry Birds on my Android Nexus 7. The process is basically the same for any Android device or any other Android app. From your apps page, we select the Play Store icon, and you will get a screen that looks like this. Then I normally select apps, but you could go directly to the search. I normally select apps just to narrow down the search a little bit. After selecting apps, you will get a screen that looks like this. From here, we select the little magnifying glass in the upper right-hand corner, and we type in Angry Birds. As you can see here, I typed in Angry Birds, and I got a lot of suggestions. So I'm going to click on Angry Birds 2, and it will bring up a screen of Angry Birds and Angry Birds add-ons. From this screen of the Angry Bird apps, I chose number 4, which is simply Angry Birds. That is the basic app for the Angry Birds program. And from there, it comes up and it tells me a little bit about the program. If you're just browsing through your apps and looking at different things, here's where you would want to read what it's about and what it does, and other people's reviews. But for Angry Birds, I just clicked on Install, and it comes up, and what it tells me is that Angry Birds needs permission to access certain parts of my Android device. Again, Angry Birds being a trusted device or trusted app, I simply click on Install. However, if this is something you're just looking at, like let's say maybe you found an app that's a compass, but for some reason it wants to access all of your personal contacts, you might go, that's a little bit strange, and choose not to install that app. But Angry Birds is a trusted app, and so we are going to go ahead and install it. you will see a screen that looks like this as it's installing. And once it is installed, it'll come up and you can either then open the app or uninstall it, or you can click back to your main homepage and open the app later on. In this case, I've been looking for Angry Birds, want to play the game, and so I'm clicking open. And here's what you get. Angry Birds on your Android device. It's very simple and easy. It works about the same way for any Android app. Just beware that if it's an unknown app to you, you might want to read the details about it.
That's it. Well, I think most people now have a good idea of how you can install an app, how you check your operating system to see if it's up to date. And now I think we should probably end the show with telling everyone that we're very, very happy that you were able to communicate with us and that you've been sending us emails, sending us texts on Twitter, and sending us some posts on Facebook. Here's a question from Andy and Marcia in Sun City West. My friends in Grand watched the show while we visited after dinner. Living in Sun City West and a Del Web community too, I wish we also got the show. We are getting a new computer as our old one has XP. Do you have any suggestions?
Yes, Rita. My suggestion would be to get your new computer as soon as possible, while you can still purchase a computer with Windows 7 on it.
Why would they want to purchase a computer with Windows 7? I mean, Windows 8 is like the coolest thing around, isn't it?
Well, Windows 8 is wonderful if you have a touch screen tablet. It gives you an interface that's very usable, but on a desktop computer or a laptop, it is very cumbersome. I have found very few people are satisfied with Windows 8 on their laptop or desktop, and I have even had to place Windows 7 back onto Windows 8 computers so we could have happy computer users.
Oh, Jeff, all I can say is on our next show or the one after that, we will be having a Windows 8 expert showing us how the new update to Windows 8 will be working.
I'll be looking forward to that.
I knew you would. Well, Jeff, we got some more mail from the show that I kind of put on my iPad. Somebody by the name of Kent said, "Nice show, well done, I'm impressed." Another person wrote, "Your show is wonderful. I never stepped into the computer club before, but I see there are plenty of women there, so I will check it out when I return from Grand this October." And this is from Nancy. I guess she thought, Jeff, that the computer club was all about male computer geeks, but apparently...
Well, you know, the computer club does have a female president. It's not a part of the Old Boys Network anymore. It's for everyone. And we have a very interesting email from Barbara, who talks a little bit about fraud, just like we did in our last episode, and the Arizona Attorney General. Barbara would like to point out that you can contact the Arizona Attorney General through PORA, which everyone in Sun City Grand and Sun City West has access to, if you believe you've been a part of a fraud. We would like to thank Barbara for pointing this out to us, and thank you for taking the time to view our show.
We got another wonderful email from Glenn, who said, "Bravo, great show with lots of great information. I like the format and I love the guests. When will the next episode become available?"
Well, Glenn, here you have it. This is the next episode, especially for you.
This looks like an interesting show, and the question I have is, if there are only two of you, why is the show named The Three? Jeff, can you answer that?
Well, yes, of course I can. I am Jeff. This is Rita, and we are 2/3 of the three. Every week we have a special guest who is the other third. We are the three.
Several of our viewers have asked also if we will devote shows to various topics. For example, one person suggested that perhaps we can have a show about using net to look at real estate, because they have no idea how to do it, and rather than going from house to house, trying to go through rooms, she thought there was some way that she could get on the website and just look at rooms via the internet of each house that she might be interested in.
Yes, Rita, I think that'd be a very interesting show. And there are a lot of different sites on the internet that allow you to have virtual tours of real estate and show you where listings are and give you a lot of valuable information before you go out and search for your next home.
Someone also wrote that I'm interested in blogging, but I don't know where to start. This would be a good topic for your show. Yes, it would be a good topic for our show, and in one of our future shows, we're going to have two excellent bloggers and information on how you can follow different blogs, even if you're not interested in blogging yourself. This comes from Mary. She says, "Let us know when your show airs. Channel 22 is very hard to find when the programming is. I rarely watch it, but I really want to see your show. Is there any way I can find out when the show is on?"
That is a very good question. It's not easy to find out what's on TV 22 unless you know where to look. grandinfo.com.
Well, Jeff, it looks like we're running out of time and we cannot answer or talk about any more of these emails. However, I would like to thank everyone for their continued watching, and I want to also especially thank our wonderful editing and sound crew and all the people who make this production possible.
Thank you all for viewing The 3 on TV 22 and have a wonderful day.